Hello my fellow readers, in this video I'm going to talk about You Can Have My Back. It is a light novel, and let's see who the author is. Minami Kotsuna, and there are illustrations by Hitomi Hitoyo. This is an adult light novel. There is definitely adult themes and adult content, so don't read it if you are not an adult. I will quickly read the back and then I will talk about more of the details, but this is it's not really a reincarnation story, but it sort of is. It's like a semi-reincarnation, but let's do this first. I'll never let you go again. When Ionia, proud knight of the realm, loses his life in a violent insurrection, his memories are inherited by a boy born one day after his death. Years later, Leorino Casso, fourth son of the Margrave of Brugwort, and blessed with angelic beauty, begins to see Ionia's memories, in his dreams. He relives Ionia's ill-fated romance with the king's younger brother, Prince Gravis, as well as his death at the hands of a traitor to the kingdom. But as Leorino tries to make sense of the feelings swelling in his chest, he stumbles too close to the truth of that fateful day. The traitor's identity is revealed, and in a panic, the traitor threatens to end himself and take Leorino with him. As Leorino's life hangs in the balance, he instinctively cries out for his only hope, the love of his past life, Gravis. That is a very early part of this. This book is actually a lot longer than that description. And I think those events happen when he's around 12-ish, but let's just cycle back. So this does follow mostly Leorino and the experiences that he's having. So Leorino, from the time that he's really young, although he doesn't realize what's happening, has these dreams that are memories of Ionia, this young-ish warrior from before. No, he was definitely young. I think he was only like maybe early 20s, I think, when he passed away. So he's been reliving Ionia's life in his own mind, and it's been weird. But the older he gets, the more that he begins to realize that, oh, this is me. Both Ionia and Leorino share the same eye color, and so he just comes to realize that this red-haired boy that he's seeing in his dreams is there inside of him somewhere, and that he was a real person. And he experiences, like, not the full lifespan of him, but just big key memories with Ionia. So he knows Gravis, who is the prince of the realm, and he knows also Ionia's fiancé, because Ionia had a fiancé, Lucas. He can see, like, their relationships, how everything developed, but he doesn't see all of, like, the minutia of his full lifespan, if that makes sense. So, like, he knows the basics of that he was a soldier, he had this power, he had a fiancé, he was in love with Gravis, but also there was more than that. Like, he had dedicated his whole life to Gravis, and he knew that he could never actually be with Gravis because Gravis was noble and Ionia was not. And so Leorino gets that whole part of the story. And I think it is when he's around 12. It's right around there. He ends up seeing a vision of Ionia's death. And I think part of that is they were visiting the area. And anyway, there's a big key component that ends up part of why Ionia died. And Leorino sees that and he kind of confronts, but, like, I don't know, it's also weird because he's not, like, an adult and he's not Ionia. But anyway, he sort of confronts the person and they end up in a tussle and the guy is kind of taking him on. And in his mind, he calls out to Gravis, and Gravis arrives, but a little too late, and then bad stuff happens, and Leorino goes through a period of recovery, and that sort of builds the relationships and everything that happens for the rest of the series, because there are some key components of the whole thing that make everything work, and one of which is that Leorino apparently is disastrously beautiful, and I'm going to say it's disastrously because he can't even go out anywhere without people attempting to attack him. Like, everybody automatically feels like, hey, you're really attractive, I can have my way with you. And so that's one of the things I'm not like absolutely fond of with this book and the series itself, because I've read the second book by now. Yeah, it just gets a little overdone and exhausting, where it's like, you're gorgeous and be with me, and sometimes forcefully attacking this poor kid. And there's a big portion where he is like a child, and it's just like, leave him alone. Oh my gosh, it's so disturbing. But yeah, we have the component of him being gorgeous, but then what happens is, due to the accident, he also has a weakened physical ability. And so he also just becomes kind of more susceptible to attack, because it's harder for him to fight people off or escape. In some ways, this works in his favor. That sounds so bad. That really does. But it works in his favor for his relationship to Gravis, because then this time around, and I say that, but like, Liorino is Liorino. He's not really Ionia, but regardless, since they share kind of a thing, a presence, Gravis feels that this time he can protect Liorino, and also the memories of Ionia, whereas in the past, Ionia was always a soldier for Gravis and protecting him. So, I don't know. It kind of helps their relationship, but not necessarily. And you don't see like too much of their relationship. There are flashes here and there, but it's really just kind of starting here, like their interactions and everything, because through a lot of this, like I said, Liorino is actually young, and he's in recovery, and it's really, this one is kind of the setup of him processing the memories of Ionia, and not really moving forward yet. Other characters to mention is, of course, Lucas, because Lucas was a fellow soldier with Ionia, and kind of, I don't really like Lucas. I'm going to say it. I don't like him because, one, he sort of, I get the fact that, like, Ionia could never really be with Gravis because of their political standing, a younger son of a blacksmith, and the other being, nobility, obviously, wouldn't really work. But at the same time, Lucas kind of uses that to his advantage in order to win Ionia over, and it just kind of bothers me. Like, they started as friends, which is fine. Like, they were comrades in arms. They went through the military training together. But Lucas knew that Ionia had feelings for Gravis and kind of uses that against him, and being like, well, how do you think that the prince would feel if he found out that you're, having these inappropriate feelings for him? And also was just like, you should experience these things, and kind of coerces him into the relationship. I think that does kind of bother Lucas, that he knows their relationship went that way, and so he kind of feels that, Ionia never loved him, but that all does get resolved, so I won't spoil that, but that's not my main issue, though. My main problem with, especially how he's presented in the first volume, is that when he meets Liorino, he is immediately, like, tries to assault him in polite terms. He goes after him and is, like, convinced, like, he is Ionia and wants him to be Ionia, and he's not, he's Liorino, and there is a lot of great confrontations with Gravis, who is like, Liorino is Liorino. Like, stop trying to see him as this other person who is dead and gone. I get that we are both, still processing our grief, but he's his own self, which I appreciate from Gravis as well, because he does, like, he carries a lot of the emotions and feelings about Ionia, and so he wants to know whether or not Liorino is kind of the reincarnation of him, which he's not really. Like I said, he just has his memories, so it's weird. But he also is just willing to see Liorino as Liorino. And in general, I think it's a good, like, there's the political intrigue, and it's kind of a sweet love story. There are, again, mature, steamy bits, so don't read if you're too young for that. But I don't know, I think it's sweet. I think it's a good story. I like the political aspect of it. I'm intrigued to see where it's going to go now that I've finished the second book, which I'm not going to talk about here. I'm intrigued to see where it's going, because there is in the background kind of this threat of war, and of course with Gravis being in the royal family, he has to kind of resolve that, and it could, I should mention, like Liriano's family is nobility from that border land with the country of where they've been fighting for these many years and have like high tension, so it also impacts Lirino and his family. And so I don't know, I like this. I'm very interested in seeing, like, I like all the aspects of it. I think are pretty good. I do wish people would stop trying to assault Lirino, but you know, I get it, like it's whole part of the thing, and also making Gravis like kind of the hero and how they will end up thrown together. I get it, but I'd also, like, I'm not a huge fan of that aspect of it, so just be aware of that as well. But I think it's good. I think if you want to try a light novel, fantasy, romance, in this case it's male romance, but this is a good one to try. You Can Have My Back. And this again is volume 1. I think volume 3 is coming out soon. I don't think it's out yet. But that's it for this video. Until next time, bye.